This is the Enrichment Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Enrichment Sports Source. It was ugly. It was sloppy. It was Tennessee's 9th loss in a row to Florida, stretching back over 4 different coaching staffs. Hooray. We'll discuss all of that today on the show. Plus, we will have an entire segment on the Arian Foster mess, and we'll let you know what various people on this set think about what he had to say this week. You want to stick around for that. As always, we start with this first segment, which is brought to you by our friends, the founders of the feast, Enrichment Federal Credit Union. When it comes to free checking with Enrichment, they actually mean free checking. Your first box of checks is free, no monthly fees, no per item charges, no minimum balance, unlimited transactions, a free debit card, and free home banking and bill payment. It is your money. Keep more of it with Enrichment Federal Credit Union, 8 Knoxville area locations. Go to enrichmentfcu.org to find out more about the best way to bank in East Tennessee. All right, want to welcome in the guys here, Jimmy Hyams, Bob Hodge, David Ligon, but also on today's show, we've got a full cast. Chuck Cavaleras, Vince Ferrara, Sterling Hinton, Will Overstreet, Bobby Scott will all be making appearances today. 9 of us here. We're giving you 9 different opinions. And I think a lot of them are going to be kind of similar. Could have done this show with about 2 of us. That might have been the worst debut ever. I mean, with the exception of like the Spider-Man play on Broadway or the opening weekend of Ishtar. Poor Nathan Peterman went out there just thrown to the wolves, so to speak. I thought, and we said this on the show, I thought he looked a little skittish when he got in against the scrubs of Austin Peay. So I was surprised they opened up with Nathan Peterman in the swamp. Florida defensive tackle Damian Jacobs was asked after the game if Florida had scared Peterman. His quote, "Yeah, oh yeah, the ref asked us to stop hitting him." Wow. Now, I just don't think that's a place. I don't think you change quarterbacks the swamp. That's just my feeling. But the question, would Tennessee have won that game if Justin Worley had gotten the start? David, I'll start with you.
Well, you look at the turnovers with Peterman in there, and you think, okay, are those still the case when you get down there after the punt debacle that Florida had, and Peterman has it in the wrong formation, running to the wrong side? Does Worley make that same mistake, and do we have the just letting defensive line? First off, is a really bad what we used to call blunt block by the backside tackler, horrendous. But maybe you don't have that, and the ball's not on the ground, you get points on the board. So I think it's a legitimate question that unfortunately we're never going to know.
Guys, they win with Worley?
He gives them a much better chance to win, but I can't say they'd have won with Worley. I don't think they'd have made the mistakes early that they did. There were 3 consecutive turnovers on Peterman's first 3 series. But I think Tennessee would have been in it longer. They'd have been more competitive. I don't think they'd have been down by, 17 to 7.5. Mm-hmm. But I can't really say they'd have won it with him. I just think it'd have been a much closer game.
Bob?
I agree with Jimmy. I don't know if you can say he would have won it. But I think they left 9 points on the board or on the field. Uh-huh. They didn't get 9 points on the board. So
Florida gave you the ball 3 times inside their 25-yard line. You got nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that 9 points changes everything. And you got to feel like they got 6 of them. 4 times?
3 times inside the 40.
I thought one of those was deeper than that. But okay, 3 inside the 40.
Yeah.
So make it 6 points.
No, well, I mean, you're in position.
You still get 10 yards.
Starting field.
Yeah, I think you could argue 9 points.
The kid didn't get a lot of help. You know, it's going to be Bash Peterman Day. I don't think that's fair. First, we'll get to him being out there in a second. But running backs, again, failed to break tackles. Marlon Lane dropped a pass. It's 3rd and 33, hit him in the hands, dropped it. They never make anybody pay for if they can get somebody one-on-one, they never juke them. They never get an extra yard. It's always what the offensive line gets you. Offensive line, again, didn't look great run blocking. Didn't look too tremendous in pass protection either yesterday. Your receivers, that Murphy kid for Florida has a receiver, catch the ball. He goes 70 yards with it, 50 yards with it. Tennessee throws a couple of those passes. Josh Smith drops it. You have guys dropping them. He didn't get a lot of help out there. I mean, you can put it on Peterman and say he didn't look ready. And he kind of freaked out there, which I'm not surprised. But he got 0 help from anybody else on offense. It's not just Peterman.
Well, I think what you're seeing as Tennessee goes against the better teams is Tennessee's not only, people talk about a lack of talent. I think you're seeing Tennessee's lack of speed. And that's what has separated this recent era of Tennessee football from the, let's say, 15 years that came before it, is Tennessee never looked like the slower team on the field. Didn't always win, but Tennessee always looked fast. I think you look at Tennessee now against the top teams, and I think Florida's going to end up probably a top 15 team anyway, and they just don't have the speed anymore.
Well, with Driscoll out for the year, that's going to be iffy. But I think with their defense, and if Driscoll's healthy, well, maybe Murphy will turn that around. But, yeah, I think going into yesterday,
by the end of the game,
15,
Murphy looked like a fairly decent quarterback.
It was shades of Matt Mock.
Yeah. I thought Tennessee interior on defense did fine. I thought they held up pretty well. But on the edge, they didn't set the edge, and they let Florida make too many big plays on the edge, including the quarterback scrambling on a number of times on 3rd and long to pick up first downs. And so that there's a definite lack of speed on the defense. But inside, I thought they accounted pretty well for themselves. But I'll say this: if there's anybody out there that's wanting to bash the SEC, if they watch the first half of that game, that was awful football. That was just bad football.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
he had 9 turnovers in the game, and that doesn't count a punter dropping a snap. I mean,
15,
that was just not good football at all.
Look, obviously, decision to go with a different quarterback is a coach's decision. That's where the blame goes. The decision to stay with that quarterback after the first couple of turnovers and allow a third, and to continue on, that goes back to the coaching. But I think, pick the reason here. Coaches deserve blame for this, for A, not knowing that Peterman didn't know the offense, for B, ignoring his previous skittishness and putting him in a position to melt down in the swamp, or C, for allowing him to stay in the game mistake after mistake. Which of those, or do you just say all of the above?
Well, I was surprised that.
Or do you disagree completely?
Well, look, I can't blame him for trying to do something different. Surely they saw something during the course of the week. I can't imagine that he was perfect in practice, but maybe he was. I don't know. I wasn't there. But look, I can't fault him for saying, look, we've got to try something to win this game, and we're going to go with Peterman. But sometimes you just don't know how guys are going to react. And your first start being down in Gainesville, it's a tough place to do it.
See, that's what I get back to, though. I understand wanting to make a change, wanting to make something happen. Let me tell you where I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at Florida. I'm not going to do that at Alabama. Those are the two places. You're going to do it against Georgia at home. That's still risky, but okay. You want to do it against South Alabama? Makes more sense. You want to put Worley in and then bring Peterman in the second series, the third series? Fine.
That's what I thought they would do. I thought they'd start Worley, and then if he struggled he'd come in with Peterman. After the third series, I'd have taken Peterman out. There was a fumble on the first one, then there's a sack fumble, then he throws an interception. To me, it was very evident that he was in over his head, and I think he was shell-shocked, and I'd have taken him out after the third series.
Bob, close us out.
You and I spoke before the game. I was more okay with starting Peterman than you were. You thought it was a terrible idea. I thought, let's see what happens, because I didn't think Worley had looked all that great through the first 3 games.
Right.
To get back to your question, I'm going to go with the biggest mistake was leaving him in there after all the mistakes. I thought that you had about, like Jimmy said, about 3 series to go. This isn't going to work. Let's get Worley back in there. Worley hadn't done anything all that great to me to think that he was this solid starter. And sometimes you throw guys in tough situations, but the biggest mistake to me was you should have taken him out when it was obvious it wasn't going to work.
All right, very good. I know that judging from my cell phone yesterday, there were a lot of people that agreed with you. We will talk about Butch Jones a little bit more in the quiz show. His demeanor, some decision making. We'll talk Butch Jones in the next segment. Also, don't forget, we're going to talk about Arian Foster a little bit later. Come on back on the Enrichment Sports Source.